Engineers love backup systems. They love them because backup systems make people feel brave. They love them because backup systems allow sentences like, "Even if something goes wrong, we're covered." That sentence has caused more embarrassment in space than gravity ever could. Because today's story is about a backup system that didn't save the mission, didn't prevent failure, and didn't even fail loudly enough to be blamed. Instead, it quietly made everything worse while everyone congratulated themselves on how safe they were. This is the story of how redundancy, the thing engineers worship, became the most efficient way to hide a problem until it grew teeth. This mission was designed by people who loved redundancy. Not respected it, loved it. Every critical system had a backup. Every backup had a backup. Every backup of the backup had a contingency. If redundancy were food, this mission would have been a buffet. Design reviews were smug. Slides were packed with block diagrams. Someone definitely said, "We've eliminated single-point failures," which is engineering slang for, "We are about to discover multi-point stupidity." Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody likes admitting. Backup systems make people lazy. Not stupid, lazy. When engineers believe there's a safety net, they stop asking uncomfortable questions. They accept behavior that feels not ideal but acceptable, because in the back of their mind is a comforting lie. If it gets worse, the backup will save us. This mission leaned heavily on that belief. A few weeks into operation, the primary system begins showing odd behavior. Not a failure, not an alarm, not a shutdown, just inconsistency. Performance varies slightly. Timing shifts subtly. Efficiency dips occasionally. Nothing crosses limits. Nothing triggers alerts. So nobody panics. They do what professionals do when something is inconvenient but not catastrophic. They monitor it and move on. Someone says it. The most dangerous sentence in engineering. It's fine. We have a backup. That sentence ends discussion. That sentence shuts down curiosity. That sentence buries problems alive. Because now the primary system doesn't have to be understood, it just has to not die dramatically. Here's where it gets embarrassing. The backup system starts engaging. Not fully, not obviously. Just small handovers. Minor assist behavior. Partial load sharing. The system is doing exactly what it was designed to do, stepping in when performance dips. Which sounds great, until you realize what that actually means. Every time the primary system behaves oddly, the backup compensates. Which smooths performance. Which masks symptoms. Which prevents alarms. In other words, the backup is anesthetizing the system. Pain disappears. Injury remains. Engineers love smooth telemetry. Smooth telemetry lies. Operations teams start trending performance. The plots look fine. No spikes. No crashes. No chaos. If anything, the system looks stable. Because the backup is quietly working overtime. And overtime never shows up in executive summaries. If the primary system had failed outright, everyone would have noticed. Meetings would have been called. Logs would have been pulled. Root cause would have been hunted. But it didn't fail. It was gently propped up, which means nobody investigated. This is the engineering equivalent of painkillers hiding a broken leg. Over time, the primary system degrades further. Not rapidly. Not dramatically. Gradually. The backup system compensates more often. Longer. Harder. Still no alarms. Still within limits. Still nominal. Backups are not designed to live in the spotlight. They are designed for emergencies. Short duration. Rare events. This backup is now doing routine work. Its margins shrink. Its wear increases. Its thermal load grows. No one notices. Because the telemetry still looks fine. The first real consequence is operational. Power margins tighten. Scheduling becomes harder. Flexibility disappears. Operators start adjusting plans. Not because they know why, but because things feel tighter. Feeling is data, but only if you respect it. Famous last words. Someone points out that similar behavior happened before and resolved. They ignore one key detail. Last time, the backup hadn't been doing this much work. History without context is fiction. Eventually, the backup system approaches a threshold, not a failure threshold, a design comfort threshold. It can still operate, but not indefinitely. This is where redundancy stops being comforting and starts being terrifying. Because now, if anything else goes wrong, there is no safety net left. An emergency review is called. Not because something failed, because something is about to. Charts are shown. Trends are reviewed. Silence fills the room. Someone finally asks the question that should have been asked months ago. Why is the backup working so much? The realization hits slowly. The backup didn't cause the problem. It enabled it. By hiding degradation. By smoothing telemetry. By preventing alarms. The system wasn't stable. It was being carried. Engineers dig deeper. They isolate the primary system. They reduce backup assistance. They force transparency. The problem becomes obvious. A design assumption was wrong. A wear mechanism was underestimated. An interaction wasn't modeled. Things that would have been caught early if the backup hadn't been doing everyone's homework. Because reviews love redundancy. Redundancy makes slides look impressive. Redundancy makes risk charts look green. Redundancy reassures non-technical decision makers. No one asked, what happens if the backup runs constantly? Because that scenario was unlikely. Space loves unlikely. If the issue had been caught early, the fix would have been easy. Now it's complicated. Operational changes, load shedding, usage limits, revised procedures. All because nobody wanted to temporarily disable the safety net to see what was underneath. The mission doesn't fail, which is the cruelest outcome. It limps. It adapts. It survives. And survival convinces people everything was handled. It wasn't. It was endured. The report says, redundant systems performed as designed, which is technically true and completely misleading. They performed as designed, but not as intended. The real cost wasn't hardware. It was lost insight, delayed understanding, operational fragility. Redundancy didn't reduce risk. It delayed awareness. And delayed awareness is how space wins. Because redundancy feels safe. Because it prevents embarrassment. Because it buys time. And time, if misused, becomes debt. Backups are not permission to ignore behavior. They are insurance. And insurance is not a cure. If your backup is always active, your system is already sick. The backup should have been monitored as aggressively as the primary. Assistance time should have been limited. Triggers should have been investigated immediately. In short, redundancy should have been treated as a warning, not a comfort. Space does not care how many backups you designed. Space does not care how confident your diagrams look. Space only cares whether you understood your system. And redundancy without understanding is decoration. The backup system didn't save the mission. It delayed consequences. It hid degradation. It made people comfortable. And comfort is the enemy of survival. If your backup system is the hardest working part of your mission, your design already failed. Space will let you borrow time, but it always sends the bill.